Greetings, everyone. Today we're going to work through this topic together. I'm going to use some references that I found on the internet, and I'm going to give my opinion as well. The point or aim of this message is to say to Black people, sometimes you ought to stay quiet and observe, listen carefully and observe. Sometimes you shouldn't speak too much. You just listen and mark what you see and what you hear and apply that to your own personal life. Now, before I get into the detail of this, we are going to go to an article that talks about the brain. Is your brain still developing at 18? And in this article, it says, and I'm going to move this to the side so I can read it properly because sometimes I struggle reading it when I'm doing it through the phone. It says, under most laws, young people are recognized as adults at age 18, but emergent science about brain development suggests that most people don't reach full maturity until the age of 25. Now, this article was written October 10, 2011. And how does brain development affect adolescent behavior? Okay, let's scroll down to this. It says changes in this part continue into early adulthood because the prefrontal cortex is still developing. Teenagers might then rely on a part of the brain called the amygdala to make decisions and solve problems more than adults do. The amygdala, and if I'm not pronouncing that right, persons, please, amygdala, is associated with emotions, impulses, aggression, and instinctive behavior. Can I repeat that? Changes in this part continue into early childhood because the prefrontal cortex is still developing. Teenagers might not rely on a part of the brain called the amygdala to make decisions and solve problems more than adults do. The amygdala is associated with emotions, impulses. I want you to focus on this word, impulses, aggression, and instinctive behavior. And so you find in the West and in Europe, when children commit certain types of crimes and behavior, they go to psychology to examine not just the person's innocence or guilt, but to see what kind of punishment or what kind of treatment such a child who commits an act, violent act, would have. If I wish to bring us back, I can take you back to the point where that boy went into the church and murdered 9 people, and he was not treated like a terrorist. He was not treated like an individual who one should fear. He was taken to some place to buy a sandwich, okay? A white boy. Now, I don't want to talk about black and white in this video. It's not about that. I'm just using that reference so you know which person I'm talking about. That white boy that went into the church and killed those persons in that church while they were worshiping. So I'm sure people think about his frontal cortex, if it was working or not. All of those things would have come into play. Whatever penalties he got for that act, I'm sure all of these things were considered. So what I'm trying to say in this video is that let's go to this article before I even jump into that. Let's look at this one. Apartheid from 1948 until April 27, 1994. Apartheid ended in South Africa, April 27, 1994. This is very fresh. Okay, my first child was born 1990. And I remember 1994 when apartheid was dissolved. I just couldn't understand that there was a place in the world where that level of racism existed and continued. And I shared pictures with you recently of my sister going to South Africa, and stories are heart-rending. So the old thing that is apartheid is abandoned is, let's not talk about that. just hold that for the moment. Okay, so we're talking about the brain development, how it's not fully developed based on these different articles, until you're into your 20s or 25, whatever. So a 19-year-old person, does what a 19-year-old white boy, or white girl, could possibly do in other parts of the world might not be seen as criminal. Or a black boy or a black girl, I hope, or an Asian boy, or any child for that matter. I'm not sure if these stats or these information is just related to different races, but I'm assuming that it's a general thing that all young people with this in this age group are going to be looked at a particular way when they do certain things because their frontal lobe is not fully developed. Now, we're talking about Buju Banton, and I'm going to share with you that Buju Banton released a song that is considered to be homophobic. The lyrics seems to promote violence against gay people, and I don't have to tell you what my position is in terms of letting people live their own lives and so on and so forth. That's not what we're talking about here. I'm talking about a 19-year-old boy writing a song that glorified violence according to these individuals towards their community. Apartheid also glorified violence towards African people. And it wasn't until 1994 that it was supposedly abandoned. In this article, it says that somewhere or sometime in August 2014, Buju Banton's infamous song, Boom Bye Bye, passed the 22nd anniversary of the date of release. So in 2014, it was already 22 years since that song was released. Okay, so that means, let me do my math. August 2014, 22 years had passed, so it would have been 1992. 1992, that song was released. And let's go back to apartheid. 1994. So apartheid was done and supposedly over in 2 years after Buju Banton released that song. So Buju Banton was attacking, based on the story, was attacking LGBT group with those lyrics. In 1994, black people was being attacked, and to this day are still under attack. But let's talk about the formalities of it, because the whole world said there's no racism anymore except for black people. It's all in their mind. What I want to say in this video, and I feel like I'm rambling, trying to make my point, to say, if he was 19 years old, and at 19 years, a young person's brain, or the last part of the brain, is still developing. It asks the question, how does brain development affect adolescent behavior? Changes in this part continue into early adulthood because the prefrontal cortex is still developing. Teenagers might rely on a part of the brain called the amygdala to make decisions and solve problems more than adults do. And this part of the brain is associated to emotions and impulses and aggression and so on and so forth. So if that be true, then the whole idea of now asking the same LGBT people, asking Buju to come and apologize so many years later, does not seem to make any sense. Now, this article, Victory for Gay Rights Campaign in Reggae Star, as Reggae Star agrees to ditch homophobic lyrics. Victory, therefore, at some point, this indicates that at some point, the LGBT was satisfied that Buju had signed an agreement that he would no longer sing these lyrics. He would not promote, anti-gay lyrics in his music. It says one of the most notoriously homophobic figures in reggae and dancehall music has agreed to stop singing violently anti-gay lyrics. Buju Banton, whose 1990 hit Boombai. So hear this. This is 1990. 1990. Apartheid was still going on until 1994. So it seems that this whole era, then in the 90s, would have been a time of intolerance for many people, including white people in South Africa. Okay, so Buju Banton this time was intolerant towards gay people based on the Bible that they introduced black people to and showed them in the scripture that they should have these feelings towards people who are of different orientation. This is why I'm trying to say to black people, you need to stop using the same information that they gave you to keep you into a kind of bondage mentally and religiously, because these individuals have long gone or have long abandoned this kind of thing, and you're still holding it because now they're telling you that it was a lie, that wasn't right, and that is not true. And holding you, the very thing that they introduced you and your people to, you're still holding it up now, and now they're punishing you for it. Do you understand? So apartheid 1994 was still very, very much active. Okay, this 1990, this lyrics was written, and that would have made him a 19-year-old person with brain functions not fully developed based on these articles. Or are these articles only related to certain groups or certain race of people in the world? Does these things only apply? The question I'm going to leave you with. Okay, so the victory came when these guys had gotten him in 1990, in the 1998 song. After a 3-year campaign to bring him into line, the group will announce today. Excuse me, I'm just rambling here. Forgive me. One of the most notorious homophobic figures in reggae and dancehall music has agreed to stop singing violently anti-gay lyrics. Buju Banton, whose 1990 hit Boom Bye Bye, advocates of shooting of gay men, has signed a Reggae Compassionate Act set up by the gay rights campaign group Stop Murder Music. After a 3-year campaign to bring him into line, the group will announce today. And it goes on to talk about the whole protest that took place, and Buju signed that. Buju actually went and met with heads of the LGBT community, and so for him to be released from prison and now there's a new start, it's leaving me the impression that there's no point in Buju apologizing, because you can never apologize for that song. You can never apologize enough. And this is why I don't do apology and I don't accept apology, because oftentimes individuals will come to us as a community who feel violated in some way, as the LGBT feel like they're violated. Individuals come to us as black people. When we feel violated and we demand apology, it's given to us tongue in cheek, and it doesn't really mean anything. It's just what you want to hear. Perhaps we might want to learn something from this, to say that this whole apology from people after violation is zero. It means nothing. Buju Banton, the apology you could give now until the day they bury you means absolutely nothing. So it's you. I can't tell you what to do. I'm just trying to say that I personally feel that if a 19-year-old boy sings songs and had lyrics in his songs that were unkind or that would provocate violence towards whatever group, and that person has signed documents, and that person has paid retribution or restitution for such a behavior, it's very clear that he was just released from prison, and even though he was there for another matter supposedly, he has already said, I'm sorry. He has already gone out and signed that. When he signed that could have been death to his career, and he chose not to pay any attention to that. He signed it. Now, after he signed it, individuals were asking this young man to go out there and to promote the gay lifestyle, and was asked to, donate based on some, I don't know if it's rumors or not, but to donate money towards organization, and then to start writing lyrics in support of this. This is just too much. Because if I come on here and I speak about racism, I speak about all the horrible things and the horrific things that have happened to the people in my community there and now, people start getting uncomfortable, like, shut the hell up. What is your problem? You're going to be targeted. You're going to be feeling the heat. You're going to feel pressure. You're going to, have your message that, hey, watch, we are watching you, or we're listening to what you're saying, and we're not liking it, because you see, there's a limit on my complaint. There's a limit on our feelings of hurt. But other folks, their thing goes on for years, forever. Buju Banton is a 19-year-old boy. In his ignorance, or his intolerance, or just his own passion towards a particular lifestyle, cannot walk away, cannot apologize. His apology will never be accepted. His brain, being underdeveloped at 19, does not really matter. The black man's story, the black child's story, is irrelevant as far as other persons are concerned. Only their stories matter. Now, this has nothing to do with just race, because all people of all race happen to be of different sexual orientation. But the fact that as soon as one heat cools down, another one is applied. And so I, again, can't tell Mark Mary what to do. I'm just putting it out there in the universe to say there's something wrong with black folks continuing to accept apologies from individuals. So hundreds of years, not 100, not 200, hundreds of years of horrific crime done to our bodies, minds, and spirits. We accept it, but other folks will not accept it. We accept their apology. We continuously ask for apology. These individuals don't want apology from Buju Banton. They want blood. These individuals are saying, what you did, we have no forgiveness in us, but we're asked to forgive. That boy that murdered the people in the church was asked to apologize. Well, the people who were affected by it said that they forgave him. They didn't really ask for an apology, excuse me. But moments later, they said, we forgive you. You need to stop it, black people. You need to stop it. You need to look around you and see how other folks who are demanding respect and demanding what they feel is rightfully theirs, dignity. Their dignity is so important and so valuable, and yet you are not demanding the same thing for yourself. Apartheid was ended 1994. 1994, and yet I'm expected to be silent about it. And other folks who are still very much a part of that regime would seek to silence me when I speak. And Buju, a 19-year-old boy, is not allowed to live. There's something wrong with that picture. There's something wrong with that. And I say, I cannot remain silent, because others won't be silenced. It's a new day. It's a new dawn. It's a new beginning. Every day have to be a new day. Every day your feelings have to be renewed. Your commitment to self and community must be renewed. And as one year comes to a close and another about to open, the story continues. The struggle continues. When you're sleeping, other people are awake, plotting, demanding, securing. Buju, if you want to apologize, you do that. But I want to let you know that you'll never be able to apologize for that. And that's why in your music, you can't be afraid. Because no matter what you do at the end of the day, you are already seen as the enemy. Stay blessed, everybody.